But this speech I'm giving today is going to be for my grandson, Nicholas, which I haven't seen him 21 years. But my speech today is going to be about the Solario family. I know that we've been around here for a long, long time. Now, my mom and dad coming to California. My mom was raised in Mexico, and my dad was raised in the state of Michoacan. So when my dad and mom came to California, they come through Nogales, Arizona in 1928. So when they came, my grandfather, which I'm going to tell you, he was a good-looking man. Really, really good.
My dad's a good-looking man.
And anyway, he had 2 marriages. My grandfather, the first marriage, he had 3 daughters and I believe 1 son. My mom was named, we call her Julia Juliana. And she had a sister Carmen and Lucille, which some of my relatives here had met. And so, my grandfather came to California and he had a second marriage. So, when my dad came to California, I had an aunt. My Aunt Lola was living with which would be my grandfather's daughter. And they had Aunt Eleanor and I believe a brother named Pete. Is that right, Vicki? Yes. Right. So anyway, so when my dad come and mom, guess who they moved? They moved with my Aunt Lola and my grandpa. And my aunt was born in Modesto, September the 15th, 1921. So figure out, she's 103 years old, standing back there in the wheelchair. Beautiful woman, look at that. So my parents lived with him for a while. My Aunt Lola, she lived right there on Spruce and Franklin in the corner. I've been to the house where they lived. And how I got to know that, because Janet Lancaster, that worked with Dave, when I got all the information, that's where I went. Of course now, Janet Lancaster has passed away, so now I got to see Dave. What do you need? Anybody need about Modesto, you get it. So anyway, the house is still there. It's a little changed. But anyway, so my dad went to work for the railroad, Southern Pacific Railroad. And he worked for the Southern Pacific Railroad for 39 years when he went to work. And my mom, she worked for the cannery, Susanville, and she worked for 35 years. If you want to see a pit that cleaned peaches, my mom, little, what do they call it, Kathy? What were they call it, the pit? Anybody ever cut a clean peach? Raise your hand. No, there's nobody did that. No. Well, wait a minute. There's John, my cousin. He knows about it. But it's sitting right over there. I don't know how old those things are. But my niece, Kathy, she likes all those little antiques. But anyway, when you're giving a speech, I don't have nothing in front of me. I don't need it. But sometimes I've been working on that speech for a long, long time. I might be going forward a little bit, but if you bear with me, I'll try to do the best I can to tell you about the Solario family. Okay. So, when my dad, some of you here, I'll tell you, you probably know the story. Some of my cousins and my aunt doesn't know. My people that are sitting over there is the one I taught law. You're my friends, and I'm going to be yours Solarios too, and you're the Solarios too. Because you're my family. All these here, all of them. Okay? Now, my dad bought a house. It was in the back of the alley on 7th Street. You got to remember in Modesto, when the big four, Proctor, Hopkins, Huntington, and Leland Stanford, the guy that owns Stanford University, they bought Modesto. They were the founder of Modesto. And that Dave would guarantee that, and so would Betty Cole. Now, so when they come in, they built a lot in Modesto, 25 feet wide. That's it. By 140. And if you wanted 2 lots, you got to buy 2. When I gave that church, I taught at the church of the Methodist church when it was 150 years old. When they were down in town, they bought 2 lots, but they had to buy 4 lots. So we lived in a lot that's 25 by 140. And my lot on 7th Street, if you ever go by, a picture of my house today is right over there. Can you see what 25 feet would be today? Your bathroom is probably bigger than a house, not mine, in the back. So, we had no electricity in the house. How many of you here, I'll guarantee you that nobody ever lived in a house with no electricity. We had lantern Henry. We had a kerosene heater about this high. We had a stove, a wooden stove. Excuse me, you need something?
Oh, no, I'm just saying, sir, sorry.
Okay, thank you. All right. Anyway, my mom had a wooden stove. She had an iron, had a sewing machine. You know what? Pedal. Singing. Had no radio. And I couldn't believe it. How do we live in the back? All houses on 7th Street in the front. There is no garage where we live. You know what? I can tell you every family that lives on 7th Street. How many of you here today could name your family, everybody that live in your city block? Not many. Because you see, when I was that young kid, there's only about 12, 13,000 people. We had porches. People, sat out in the front. When we was a kid, we played hide and go seek, we played kick the can and all that stuff. But no radio. The only time that I could hear a radio would be next door to Mr. Vanderberg. My son and Diane and Nicholas, I took them on my tour. And some of you here have been on my tour. It's not very wide, it's pretty short. So my dad worked for the railroad. We had to cut the railroad tie when we got older because that was the wood that we used. Then used oak wood for a stove, you couldn't do it. So what happened, in those days, the railroad ties didn't have a carousel heater, the carousel on it. So my Southern Pacific Railroad, the big 4 guys, you know what? they donated all the tithe to my dad. My dad never owned a car, walked to work every day. He walked 5-6 blocks. Never owned a car. And you know what? My dad, he was waiting for them bills to come in. He had to walk, go pay. There was no, no TV or anything to go pay, but he paid the bills, I know that. But anyway, so he rented a truck, and the guy truck come down the alley, and the next door neighbor was Mrs. Wood. And you gotta see, remember, all the houses were in the front, but in the back, that's where everybody parked their cars. So the next door neighbor, there was a little vacant. So those one truck, I can still remember. It was a kind of a black truck, got a flat bed, and they had all this tithe was under. And they pulled it up. My house is in the front. And they threw the tithe over there in our backyard, in the front yard, we'll say. It was like a lumber yard. I'll guarantee you it was a lot of lumber. So, I didn't say that I didn't cut the lumber when I was 2 or 3, but I lived in the house, but I didn't have no electricity. Okay. Now, so when we got older, my brother Ruben and Rudy, we had to cut them. We had to cut them 6 inches wide, because they had to fit in through to my mom's stove. But you know what? Today, I often wonder how my mom ever started a fire. Because my mom got up every day and made tortillas, and all we had was rice and beans. Didn't have we had lard. I remember that. So we had so when Reuben, Debbie's dad, Rudy, we had a cut. You know who's got that saw today? My niece over there, Cassie. She's got the saw. She's got the saw. I tell you what, she won that. That's her antique. But anyway, so my brothers, the thing about it is this. Cutting those ties wasn't easy, for us. It's why Rudy would get up and your turn, my turn, his turn, and we had them stacked up there with it. So that's why, now, later on, now what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go, before I cut these ties, I'm going to go back a little bit when I was only 4 years old. 5 maybe. My mom and dad didn't know how to read or write. But we had a lady named Mary Sabala. She lived on 6th Street. Where the freeway's at? That's where she lived. So, as I was the oldest, I'm 93. I might be the second Solario in the family, but I know my Aunt Lola is the oldest Solario living today. I think we ought to give her a clap. What do you think? Aunt Lola, keep going, girls. She's lived by herself. Your daughter's taking good care of her and your son. Now, when I was 4 years old, 5, man, I'm going to kindergarten. Mom and Dad didn't know how to write. So guess what? Mary Sabala come and take me to school. See, I can remember all these little things. I don't know. She took my hand, and we walked down the alley, Locust, to Franklin School, where my aunt used to go to grammar school. I did. She went to the same school I did. Okay, right? Anyway, we went to school, and she had to register. And me in, right? This is a good story, I'm going to tell you. So when Mary Sabala wrote our name, guess what she did? She put, look, Solario. That makes sense to you? You know what? You guys are the Solario. You're not really a Solario. I'm going to tell you right now. You're a Solario. My Social Security that I got when I was 12 years old, I don't know if you got a Social Security that old. I got it home. It's almost ready to trash it. But when now, so my driver's license is Solario. But you know what my Social Security is? It's no Solario. It's a Solario. So you guys are Solario. And my aunt, Mary Sabala, we wrote the right name, but my birth certificate is Solario. My baptism, everything is Solario. All you. Roll it. Ask her where her name. This is Solario. But my grandfather. So I took Gary, my son, to the cemetery today. And you know what? And every plot we went to, guess what the last name was? Solario. Where my sister and daughter and my sister and my brother died. Crescencio, he died in 1932. And they said, well, how come there's no Solario? There ain't no Solario. There ain't no Solario. So you guys, remember, keep the same name, huh? You are Solario right now, but you could have been what? Solario. So that's what I want to tell you a little bit when I was 4 years old, going back. But anyway, the thing about this, you know, what happened with my mom and dad working, we never ever had to worry about food, believe me. So Debbie's dad, Rudy, Rosemary's husband, you guys' dad, Mike, Reuben, we all work ourselves. We had to shine shoes for it. I think some of you know that. Sold paper with SOB for a nickel, 5 cents. You know how much we got? 2 cents of paper. And I always figured, how can they give me 2 cents and they're going to make 3? You got a big business with SOB? I could never figure it out. But I know what it is. It's ad. So Rudy, we used to go sell San Francisco Examiner Chronicle for Joe Saletta. Some of the old people know Nickel News. And we got the same amount of money, 5 cents. And Reuben and I don't know where Rudy was, Debbie, at that time, but he was there.
Young.
Yeah.
Child labor law.
Right. But anyway, we would stop at the McPeters Hospital, not too far, 11. You gotta remember, when I was raised, Modesto, we lived on 7th, but the main part of town was on 10th Street. I don't have to walk 3 blocks to go to Strand Theater. I didn't even own a bike. The only bike I ever got, I wanted at the Strand Theater with popsicle bags that drew my name out. I didn't know how to ride it. Took it from the Strand Theater, took it home, I didn't even know how to ride it. On the road by myself. But anyway, so when we did this, that's how we made our money. We didn't have no allowance. There was such a thing as allowance in my family. And even the old family, because we all worked. Some had to go pick peaches. We cut apricots, picked peaches and all that. I told you about that. So that's how we did it when we was kids, you know. Some of you guys, I know here, you have grandkids and all that. But I'm going to just tell you one thing about it. Is that my mom and dad took good care of us. Okay? So now, the next thing I want to talk about, that is my little childhood thing. You know, I can be here for 5 hours and keep it that. And they all know about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, we
They all
do.
know. So, the next time I'll start with my son. He's in the back, he's probably taking it, I don't know. So when Gary, my son, was 3 years old, 4 years old, we was at the McCluskey Ranch on Whitmore Avenue. They had a little acre out there, had a horse. Barbara, believe it, I didn't know about horses, okay? But anyway, Gary was 3. It was on a Sunday. I still remember today as long as I live. I'll never, ever forget this day when he was only 3 or 4. At that time, there was at Pebble Beach, there was a golf tournament. And it got snowed out. Anybody remember that? Hey, man, forget it. I ain't gonna answer it. Anyway, there was a piano in Mrs. McCluskey's ranch. Gary, my son, he got on that piano. And guess what he did? He played. I don't sing. Everybody knows I don't sing. And they know why. I'm not going to go there. But Gary played My Country 'Tis a Bee on the piano. And he was only 3 or 4 years old. So Vicky, there's a lot of Vickies here. Vicky. She said, you got to get that kid some piano lessons, is what she said. Okay. So it went along, you know. So later on, you know, I can't go just, you know, when he was 5 or 6, right? But anyway, Gary played the piano. So we gave him golf lessons. Son, do you remember the lady that gave you the lessons? Gary, where you at?
I'm right here.
You remember the lady?
Elizabeth Bernardo.
Was it? Say that again.
Elizabeth Bernardo.
Elizabeth Sonato, whatever.
Bernardo.
Gave her lessons when he was at probably junior high school. Whatever. And when he went to Byron High School, he wanted to go in the jazz band. Okay? You know what? You can't go in the jazz band until you go and work in the parade, 4th of July. How are you going to take a piano on 4th of July? You only play the piano, right? So guess what? You got him a saxophone.
The big one.
Hey, you see what he said? A big one. He married, he knows. He went down to this slot shop and rented it. 1 week, my son learned how to play saxophone.
Oh, wow.
In 1 week. And you know what? I got to watch him. Go in that parade. He doesn't know that. And he got to play in the jazz band. He doesn't know. He played the piano. That's the only way you can play in the band. Then from Modesto, if you know, the jazz band in Byron was the best around. So I went to Modesto High School gym. I mean, they played music there. Now, he, somewhere along the line, when he was 3 or 4, something happened, but that's what he'd done. He played that jazz, and they went on a lot of stuff. Now, then Gary, I took him by my house today. I was living on Penn Avenue. Okay. I took him on a tour. You know what? He had to learn to play a guitar. And what we took to May Hensley to learn to play a guitar. Can you imagine that? All an instrument? Diane, I don't know if you guys got a piano at home. Did he ever play a piano for you?
Never.
But you don't know that. But he's one of the greatest piano players, and he probably took lessons from Barbara Judge over here. But anyway, you see, I know the little family, and I love them all. Now Victoria, is a little different. Victoria, I know that she spent a lot of time with Kathy, her cousin. But there's a school teacher. He lived on Sylvan Avenue. Sylvan Avenue in those days, if you know, there was a school teacher named Lonnie. Do you remember? See, Victoria don't remember. The school teacher, you know, he came over and he talked to me. He said, you know, Henry, your daughter is the fastest girl on my team in track. That would be bad. But anyway, Victoria, I tell you, she has 2 great kids. John and Matthew. And I went to every game, you know, John, basketball, football. They're great athletes. Matthew was a quarterback for Davis High School. And Robert was a defensive. And this is a record. I don't care what. Nobody ever made this. But my grandson both made touchdowns the same day. Now, how many people seen that? Not many. But I don't know, the memories I have, I think, like I say, I know the one memory that if I didn't learn how to play golf, I wouldn't know all of you guys here. Because when I started with playing golf, I'm going to tell you what, I learned there was a lot of friends out there. And to me, I took the Dale Carnegie course in 1970. And that's why I'm speaking today. I couldn't even speak when I went to kindergarten. Miss Kindergarten, Mrs. Fry, took it to me, the principal, Mrs. Hyde. And you know what? I didn't know one English at all. We all spoke Spanish. But now you know what? It's different. I don't know any Spanish. But anyway, what I'm trying to say, I can remember the teacher taking me into the principal. He wanted me to read these little cards, you know, say, sat, bat, rat, and cat. And I said it, you know. But that was a kind of a memory. But I'm going to tell you, I think, I'm glad that you guys all come today. I don't know what else I can say. But probably, I'm going to say it anyway. You all have heard this, but I'm going to take 5 more minutes. Okay. But my cousins, And my grandson never heard it. But some of you, I have to tell. And I was hoping when I make this speech that you guys say, oh, I bet you're going to say how he started in golf. Right? Okay. But I cannot close my speech unless I tell you the story. And believe me, it'll be real short. Because I know Doug would like to hear it. He might have heard it, I don't know. Doug Cole, have you ever heard this when I started? Huh? He had not. Now, this is going to be good. Because my Aunt Lo's going to hear it, and Dickie and all you. I used to make, now, you got to remember when we was kids, we didn't have a TV or anything, right? Our hobby, we had to do little different things. You know what? I made an airplane out of a box of wood. Does anybody know what a box of wood is here? Okay, couple hands. Jim Walker, hey, you're my friend. So, box of wood. I got it at home, one of the wood. I should have brought it. It's about ready to throw it in the ash can or whatever. So I made an airplane as a big mat, and you had to cut it and put pins, glue it, and then I had 4 or 5 of them I made. I had a friend, I lived on 7th Street, and I had a friend named Fred Hill. Not the Hill Plumbing, I don't think. He moved, and we used to share. He lived by the St. Stanislaus Church, and we used to share our model airplane. But Fred moved to Colorado Avenue, which is 3 miles from my house. And one day Fred comes and said, hey, Henry, you want to come see my plane I made? Some P-28 or something? I said, sure, I'll go. Where do you live at? I live in Colorado. How you get there? He said, drive your bike down to B Street, make a right on 12. So I did. I went over his house. Spent a few times, looked at this airplane. Now, some of you don't know where Tuolumne is. But some of you that play golf know where Tuolumne is. I know them, Aunt Dickie, they don't know. So I rode my bike that I won at the Strand Theater. You had to put popsicle bag, and they drew my name out. I told you, I won that bike. So when I went down to B Street, took a right on Tuolumne, when I said, coming back home, I was on the left-hand side of Tuolumne. Guess what? A golf ball came across the street and hit the spoke of my tire. Busted the spoke. So what happened? I waited there. I thought when I went by the golf course, it was a park, but it was a golf course. I had no idea. So the guy, there were 3 men in Modesto. Monty Harmon, Harry Mark, and I forgot the other guy's name. The one guy, Morty Theaker, walked across Tuolumne. It wasn't too wide. And to this day, you know what? I can still hear his spikes going on there. And he came over and he said, are you okay, son? That's the first thing he said. I said, yeah. He said, is your bike okay? He said, yeah, I think so. You know, I couldn't, the damn spokes was bent, you know? So, wait a minute. I got it. I think I got it. Hold on. Maybe I don't. Well, anyway, I usually have it. The guy introduced himself, Morty Thicker, I told my name. He reached in his pocket, He gave me a dime. You got to remember, I was making 2 cents selling my SUV. My brothers and I, we like to sell 20 papers. We made 60 cents a day. That's hustling. That wasn't dumb. You got to say. But you know what? You could get a Snicker bar, but we get a Snicker bar for 2 cents. Maybe 5 cents. I don't know. So Mr. Thinker said, would you like to caddy for me? You know what? I have no idea what he's talking about. Caddy. There's an old guy, 7th Street, going way over there. Come on there. So anyway, he said, you take your bike by the clubhouse. I went over there. He said, okay. He said, Henry, would you like to carry the bag or would you like to pull the cart? I said, I'll carry the bag. Big shot, So I only went from here to there with that bag on my shoulder. And I said, Mr. Thinker, do you think I can pull a cart? So you go in there and see Harvey Rayner. He has a bad boy cart, got a handle on it, and you carry it. And so Morty Thinker went 6 holes. Some of you play golf today. The 6th hole is number 1. The number 4. When I took my son on my tour today, he still remembers every hole at the community. I'll give him that. So what happened? When I got through pulling that cart, he gave me $1.50. You know what? From that day forward, let me just tell you, I spent every day of my life for 365 days on the golf course. Never had to go sell paper. I didn't have to shine shoes no more. And he took care of me. But that's how I started in golf. And it was at that golf ball that hit my pipe. And Mr. Thinker, I caddied for him for 11 years. Special caddy. And I got paid real well around Christmas time. But you know what? He put me through college to San Jose State. Do you remember? See, they don't remember that. My brother didn't remember. I only went to San Jose State for a month because I enlisted in the Korean War. Played with Ken Ventura. But Morty Thinker took care of me for my books. And even Modesto Junior College. And he gave me a good tip. I never seen so much money in my life. Wow. Working for 2 cents from this guy. And I stood friends with him for many years. Rosemary, Reuben, when he went, my Morty Thinker was transferred to Hawaii on a plantation. My brother Reuben went in the service, he got to meet him. Correct, Rosemary? Hey, I met before my brothers passed away, I'm going to tell you. I spent 4 days. She'll tell you, Rosemary tell you. With my brother. And we talked about our life. And Rosemary, anybody want to know about my life? There's a lady right there, if you know. But I'm trying to tell you my life for my kids. But look, that is the story of the Solario. But I have one more thing to do. I want Nicholas to come up here, and my son to come up here, and I want my daughter to come up here. good, right? Come down, come down. Come down. Okay, I got a gift for these three. Okay? At first, I'm gonna give a gift, and I didn't do the rapping. Betty Cole did the rapping. Right, Betty? I never did a rap in my life, so I went to the lady who knew how to do it. Okay. I'm gonna just slide here, that's what I got. Betty, I forgot the name, all right. Okay. All right, here, I got it. Okay. Big president. This is from your grandpa. And I've had this one since 1950. And I want you to have it and show the people what it is. Wait a minute, take it back. What? The wrong book.
That's not the express.
I love it.
Sorry, Betty. It's okay, all right.
This is my book.
This book. This is the scrapbook
Oh.
that had my life in it.
See a bunch of golfers. Golf.
Wait a minute, pick one page and read it, whatever you want.
Solario.
What does it say with my name? There's Ruben, right, and everybody.
Yeah.
That's okay. Wait a minute, turn the page. I'm just gonna show you an article. Keep going. Keep going. No, I'm gonna tell you a story. Anyway, keep going. This scrapbook, this scrapbook, the first time, David, this is for you, sent you, I know you work at the museum, but this is when I first played in a tournament. Yeah. Yeah, okay, well, my score in this book, first time I played in a tournament for Modesto High School, guess what I shot? 93. At that time, I was in high school. Then, when I turned, I played golf about, I was 14, I guess. Then when I was 17 years, I had the fourth record at Del Rio for 66, and it's in this book. And tell you what I shot in every hole. That means that if you want to play golf, don't play golf just once a week. You know what's happened to average people? They don't practice. But my brothers and I, Reuben and Rudy, and Henry Reyes, which is a great friend of mine right there, Vicky Reyes, you got to practice it, whatever it is, to improve. And also Ed Fisher, he's a great golfer, he's a good, and he knows that. To play good, you have to practice. And that's how can you in 4 years go from a 93 to a 66? It's what's in that book. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah. Now I'll go. I'm sorry, okay. I don't know, I guess this other one was more heavier, but anyway.
Is this one sisters?
This is short.
Oh, mine?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, you want to know the short, sure, right? Okay, this is for you.
Write your book.
Now, this book that my son had is a life history of my life. It's 28 pages. Some people have read it, some haven't. Okay. There was a lady named Sharon Goff, which Barbara Judd knows. And she wrote, just turn over. You see that writing? That's Sharon Goff. She had a granddaughter graduated from Chico State. She could not read it. Could not read that and graduate. How come that happened? Tell me. But son, this is the history of my life. Talk about the pigeons, the chicken, and everything. Okay? But that's yours.
Thank you, Dad.
My daughter has one, and she got it. And you share this with anybody you want. But you're my best. Now I got something for my daughter.
Yeah. This is a big cool.
When I went to service, 1952, July the 6th, for the Korean War, in that little house where we lived in the back, in the front, that little room. When I was gonna go, my mom, my dad, I think, I don't remember where he was at, was in the little front room. And she wanted me to kneel down and said the prayer for me, because I was going to go in the service during the Korean War. And she gave me this gift, and I wore it all the time. I'm going to give this to my daughter, Victoria. Jane, I wore it. But look, I hope we all had a good time, and I hope that, who knows, we'll be back next year or whatever. But I'm going to tell you one thing I love all of you guys here. The Solario,
Right on, Henry.
my friends over there and over here, Janet and the Margarita guy. And I'm going to tell you one more thing before I leave.
Hey, don't forget us.
That's it. I got two of the best friends sitting right over there.
Right on, Henry.
Don't let him cry.
I got Carl Gagliardi. He's the best. Whenever I've been sick, I've been in the hospital 2 times one day and 3 times in October, whatever it is.
Whatever.
Guess who I call?
Yeah, thank you.
That man.
Yeah.
All right.
If he's not there, he always tells me how to get there.
My brother.
And one day,
That's my brother.
when I was going from the hospital, doctor couldn't get me right because he was with his grandson, some in Fresno. So you know what? I just got out and I decided to walk. And I should never done. I should have called Gary Chalk over there.
Yeah.
And he'd have given me a ride. My second best friend that I have, Mike Slocum.
Oh, Henry.
Mikey.
Right on, Henry.
I don't have a computer. I don't need no computer.
Yeah, Mike.
That Mikey.
Here's my computer. If you want to learn something, I love to talk to him.
Oh.
He knows more about me than anybody.
Right
But
on.
look, I'm tired, I'm all done. Have a good day. Sit around about another 5-10 minutes, we'll talk, I'm done. Okay?
Right on, Henry.
Get a picture with that.
Well, wait a minute. Hey, guess who's gonna talk?
Oh.
Number one. Good, you talk.
Okay.
I know how to talk.
Yeah,